Um, Second section,
Okay.
working with all learners. It was kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
helping students feel included in diversity and diverse learning styles. But how would you say the teacher supports the learning of each child in their class, um, whether it be in like activities or assignments or?
Um, for my disciplines, supports the learning.
I guess you kind of touched on it with like multiple like options for
Mm-hmm.
showing how they've learned or showing their learning.
Yep. For some assignments, that's a good option. For other assignments, it's not.
Yeah.
Sometimes uh, one size fits all, where well, we here's the data. You've got to do this with the data. Show me that you can do it and interpret it or whatever. Um, that's pretty straight up. Like you
Yeah.
can't have too many changes in the outcome.
Yeah.
Um, to support, if I have, for students who are challenged or are struggling, uh, I will go around and sometimes ask them individually, so does this make sense?
Mm.
And if I approach them, um, it's better than if they approach me because they'll be afraid to approach me sometimes.
Right.
They won't want to look like I don't get it.
Uh-huh.
My peers appear to be getting it.
Right. Right.
I'm not getting it. I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
But if my teacher comes around and says, "Hey, how's it going? I noticed that you're da 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 da,"
Yeah.
then you have the opportunity to say, "Well, I'm not quite sure how to do this."
All right.
Then the teacher can come and say, "Oh, so when we do this, da, da, da," and sometimes just explaining it again,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes exactly the way you explain it to the entire
Of
class.
course.
If you explain it to them individually,
Yeah.
they'll get it.
Uh-huh.
Not always, but they'll get it.
Yeah.
Same thing with like concepts. You explain it in class. If somebody doesn't get it, and you're like, okay, if you have any issues, let's stay after class and we'll explain it. Sometimes you can do exactly the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just you and that student, or you and two students, or whatever,
All right.
and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I get it, right?
Yeah.
So being willing to do that is can be helpful.
So like actively engaging with each student in the class.
Yeah, with those who you know are struggling.
Right.
For on the opposite end, for those students who are excelling,
Mm.
you do want sometimes wanna. I hear teachers who create. I don't do this, but some teachers do, where they create different levels, right?
Mm.
Where they say, if you want a B, do this sort of stuff, right?
Huh.
If you want an A, do this sort of stuff. If you want just a passing C, do this sort of stuff. And then,
Yeah.
so I've had that introduced to me, and I don't like that
Huh.
because I want to create an assignment where you know theoretically anybody can get an A.
Mm.
Not anybody, but that. How should I say this? Um, yeah, I kind of feel like it's not a bad idea. Where if you have a super accelerated kid and they want to like get a 98 or a 99,
Is it like a different assignment,
it's like it's the same idea assignment,
but like on a
so
higher level?
same skills or competencies, whatever they're calling it now. Curricular competencies is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
It's you, you're doing the same thing. The same skills are being tested, but to varying degrees.
Ah.
Right? So it's not a bad idea. Um, and so the student who wants like 98, 99, 100,
Yeah.
you open it up so that they can show you, oh, you can actually go pretty deep with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
For students like B, this is what we want you to be able to do these things. So all passing grades would show that the student can do this, right?
Right.
But some are more proficient at it than others.
Huh.
So there are ways to design assignments where there's varying levels of testing the same skill or curricular competency.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
What are the routines of the class?
Yeah. Mm. I'm not big on routine.
Hmm.
Some teachers are.
Yeah.
I can see where a routine for lower grades, like kindergarten,
Yeah.
preschool, kindergarten to like grade 7, 8,
Yeah. Of course.
where routines would be really valuable.
Yeah.
In high school, there's already like basic routine of bells and assemblies and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Lunch, there's those routines. In a classroom, once a student walks in to the class, gosh, it varies. I don't have a routine.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to like waste a lot of time, but there might be some playful banter,
Yeah.
in the beginning,
Yeah.
throughout, whatever. But eventually I'll say, okay, let's go,
Yeah.
and we know that we're starting.
It's learning time.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I do like. Here's my routine.
Mm.
One of my routines is, I try not to do the same thing all class long. I mean, people only have so much attention.
Right.
So I want their learning to be varied throughout the class. If it's a 75-minute class,
Right.
there might be, okay, take out the assignment from yesterday. We're going to mark it in class. Checking for learning from yesterday. And then building on it, there might be a lecture component, there might be a little video component, and then there's okay, here's the assignment for today, or here's the reading for today.
Yeah.
So there's like 4 different activities within that time.
Right.
Of like 10 to 15 to 20, 25 minutes each.
Yeah.
Right.
Rather than just you talking and talking.
Yeah. So I try to do that, and I try to give the assignment. With at least 10, 15 minutes to spare, so students can get started on it.
Right.
So that if they have questions about it, especially if it's something due the next day, that they can ask the questions before they leave. Right? I mean, now with email, I have students email me.
Right.
So there's that. But at least the student has engaged with it in class. They've asked their peers, what does he mean when he did that? And so that it's not just given at the end of class.
Right.
I don't like that. And I like to end the class. I don't like the bell to end the class. I want me to end the class. And what unless they're working on something, then I'll, even before the bell, I'll say, okay, we're just about to wrap up. So, and then I reiterate, so tomorrow we're trying to get this done, but you've already been working on it. Right? Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I just find that it's better for students mentally to come to that closure, and then to be able to move on to their next class, right? And not be like scrambling. No, the bell went, and I'm scrambling to get ready because I only got like 5 minutes to get to my next one.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, that's not good.
Huh.
Students need to break like that, and not be panicked to get to their next class.
Yeah. Obviously. Are clear expectations known or made known to the students?
I try to in the assignment. Like I usually, if it's an assignment worth something, I will hand it out. It'll be written, handed out. Some people put rubrics on, and you'll hear that. Oh, you've got to have a rubric, and I don't always. In fact, I don't very often have a rubric. I find that sometimes it just pigeonholes, and some people will say, well, then it's not a good rubric, right? No. Spend oodles of time trying to create this perfect rubric. I like to give written feedback on assignments. So for expectations, for a particular assignment, I'll say, okay, it's just straight up. It's objective. We're trying to get the right answer here, like geography. I'm trying to get the right answers here, here, and here. It's objective. There's a right and wrong answer. For other assignments, I might say, okay, so you're trying to show that you understand the connection between what is here physically and how that affects humans, how we interact with the physical world. That's what I'm looking for. You gotta understand, how soils and biomes and climates affect humans.
Right.
So
then it's more of them like showing what they know.
Yeah, that, oh, I get the connection.
Right, right.
Here's the connection, between biological region and how people live and etc. So yeah, that way through the assignment itself, written, here's what I'm looking for,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll usually have it underlined, bold objectives, and then this is what you are to do.
Mm.
Yeah, and then give feedback in written form on the assignment.
Right.
And sometimes it takes time where, like, sometimes students learn from their past experience. So they might get a test that, oh, I've never had a test like this before. And so they get the response, and this sometimes happens in, like, history where they might not have had questions that frame this way.
Right.
And so they're like, whoa, I didn't do as well on this test as I'm used to in the past. So I've marked it, I've responded, we've talked about it in class, here's where I saw weaknesses in people's essay responses, right?
Right.
And I might tell them, okay, this is your first test like this.
Mm.
The marks weren't awesome.
Mm.
You're going to get another test like this, the same sort of format, same sort of expectations. Can I answer it in a proper essay? Can I prove my points? Can I evaluate properly? If you do better on that test than this one, then I will factor that into your final grade, because you've shown that you've learned
Right.
how to answer properly, how to evaluate and assess properly.
Yeah.
So I might look at the first test where you had a poorer result, might look at that a little more lightly than the next one. Right?
Yeah. Huh. What does a typical day look like?
For me?
Yeah.
Or for the student? For me?
I guess. Well, it says working with all learners, so I suppose.
It's like for a learner.
Yeah, I suppose.
Typical day?
Yeah.
For a student.
I don't know. We can skip this one probably.
Yeah.
How is consistency maintained?
Consistency. Consistency. Yeah, just trying to mark and evaluate the same way. Being open to questions from students, like, why did I get this mark? Just kind of reiterating that every time you hand back an assignment or test, right? And if you're not sure why I said what I said, in my comments, come and see me, we can go over it. So them consistently hearing that builds consistency.
It's like reiterating your standards.
Yeah, and consistency. Being consistent with how you treat people who are late.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or disrupt the class.
Yeah.
And this is where it takes a bit of professionalism, where you, every now and then, you're going to come across students who annoy you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to be professional and treat them the same way as a kid who doesn't annoy you. So if this person is a disruption to themselves or other people's learning, am I treating that, disciplining that, the same as, the kid that doesn't cause, that doesn't bother you, that you actually like this kid.
Right.
But there's still a distraction, right?
Right.
So that's hard to do sometimes, but you do have to try to be professional and treat those two the same.
Right.
So and that shows
like
kids
in your marking and in your
how you talk to them in class, how you discipline in class, right? So that goes a long way with students recognizing, this teacher's fair. If you turn a blind eye because Joey Do-Gooder is whatever,
right?
But the kid who doesn't fit in really well with academic learning. They might be awesome with practical, get things done.
Mm-hmm.
But sitting in that desk, like it's not attuned to everybody.
Yeah.
Like especially boys, right?
Yeah.
So like if they can see that this teacher still is consistent with expectations, but also with discipline. Yeah, so lates, absences, copying, cheating,
Mm-hmm.
Bereavement,
Mm.
like, or like, man, there's something going on at home that, I just need more time or whatever. That you're consistent, that you give students the time that you would give, just being fair to anybody.
Right.
So whether that is a kid you like or not, so that you're applying your expectations and standards evenly across the board.
Right. Justice.
Yeah, justice.
Yeah.
In an understanding way.
Yeah.
Right. Theoretically. Again, it's easy to say this. It's sometimes harder to actually enact it.
Yeah.
But if students see that you're trying, they like that too. They recognize that you're human. So, does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess this would be different for each, like different subject that you teach. But what is the flow of activities?
Flow of activities.
You kind of touched on it with
Yeah.
like how you end the class and how you switch it up throughout.
Yeah.
I suppose that can suffice if you wanted.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, oh, now we're gonna do this and now we're gonna do this at like the same every class.
No, the classes are different. So, but I do try to have like a bit of, if not review of yesterday, or marking of yesterday, or hey, this is what we did yesterday, hand it in, tie it into last class. But then I like to have like new instruction, new material. It doesn't always work, but new material. So I'm learning something new, right? So I'm not just a rehash doing the same thing over again.
Right.
That doesn't create engagement.
Yeah.
But this is new material. Whoa, this is brand new, right? Never heard this before. Then visual, often to go along with either notes. I still use the whiteboard. I still think it's important that students write down. So sometimes I'll say, okay, take out your notes and do stuff on the whiteboard, trying to be really succinct with my points. And then do something visual around what we've just gone over. And then an assignment flowing out of what we've just gone over or building upon it or something. Right? So, yeah, that's kind of what I try to do.
Right.
And then end it properly and giving them time so they know the expectations before the class ends. 10 to 15 minutes before or whatever.
What happens if routines are not kept? You
like,
gotta get away or something.
Like no, I don't.
Okay.
Honestly, don't. This is I'm open to this all evening.
All right.
Like by the student.
I don't know. It's not specific. I guess. I don't know. Like, I guess you can always like. I don't know, something like come up like you might have a lesson plan, but then.
Oh, right. Okay. So let's say there's a disruption.
Yeah.
You do have to be able to think on your feet a little bit.
Yeah.
So, let's say that something comes up, there's a disruption. Oh, the class is shorter than I thought it was going to be today.
Yeah.
The principals want to do this, or what? They never said that, right? Whatever. You still have to. You have to be a reasonable person. Let's say you were going to do this big thing, and the assignment that they were going to do was based on this big thing.
Right.
And now it's like, what? Oh, I can't do it.
Oh, it's Spirit Day. We're gonna go down there.
You can't have the same expectations. You have to alter your expectations.
Right.
If you're like, okay, you can't just say, here's the assignment, so get this, let's like work on this.
Yeah.
It might be overwhelming for them, right? And teachers have to recognize that yours is not the only class these students have.
Yeah.
So you have to be understanding. Okay, we didn't get to this, so let's do this instead, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. Right? So you have to be flexible and be able to adjust a little bit. It's easier in courses like mine. It might be harder in like a, let's say you prepared a science lab.
Yeah.
And it's quite a bit of prep on the
Or
teacher's
even
part.
math.
Or math, where, well, in order to get these concepts, we have to do these things by this time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That can be a bigger adjustment right, for them, especially if it's like a science lab or like a PE class where, like, what? Oh, well, we were gonna do this. Well, okay, everybody, pack up. Right?
Yeah.
So, but you still have to be. There's got to be some flexibility, right? So, you kind of have to build that into your mind that things can go awry.
Right.
And how will I adjust this if things go awry?
Right. So kind of like, is it like abbreviating a concept or your delivery or even just skirting it to the next class?
Yeah. Just kind of lowering your expectations or changing your expectations or okay, let's get started on this, but we will pick this up tomorrow and we'll continue tomorrow. Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How is planning done for activities?
Activities like learning lessons?
Yeah.
Well, you will find that you will really grow as a teacher through experience. When I first started teaching, I didn't partner up, but I shared a room with a teacher who used to be my teacher, and he gave me some wise words. He's like, you know what, you're going to work really hard for the first 5 years, and then it's going to get a lot easier. And he was right.
Yeah.
That for the first 5 years, you wouldn't remember this. I would come home and there would be a lot of stuff to do for school, and you'd have to figure out, and gosh, what am I going to do tomorrow with these kids? Because this is the first time I've taught this course, and I am not exactly sure how we're going to do tomorrow. So there's a lot of planning and thinking where, okay, I've got to get them from here to here, right? In this novel or in this thing in history or human geography or something. What is going to be a good way to get this concept across, right? What is going to be a good assignment, a way to assess these skills or whatever? And sometimes you build on what other teachers have done and then you modify it, or you're like, oh, that's a really good assignment, and you use it, or and then you discover actually it wasn't a good assignment. It would be better if I did it this way, or I'm not ever going to do that again.
Right.
So there's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
And you'll discover, oh, these things work, or these things don't. Then you plan around your successes, right? Around where you know, oh, the kids got it. Right. Or I know if I do this, they'll get it.
Right.
Like the vast majority of them will get it.
Yeah.
So planning gets easier the more you've done it, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's a good idea to ask other teachers who have taught this thing.
Right.
What do you do when in this section? What do you do in that? Do you have any assignments? The first few years, I leaned on that heavily. Like, hey, Wally, what do you do when for this? Oh, Lord, look at these things here. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's gold, right?
Yeah.
An assignment that's already made. Unbelievable, right? You know how much time this is saving me?
Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh, I might be able to eat dinner and maybe get some free time later in the evening. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh no, crap, I gotta mark that thing, right?
Yeah.
So it can be quite busy in the first few years. But the planning comes through practicing things, trying things, that worked, that didn't. Sometimes thinking up things on your own. What if we did it this way, right? Sometimes, just doing things that are really straightforward, not trying to make any bells or whistles, right?
Right.
A variety of stuff. And then over the years, you're like, I like that. I like using this. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here, that there. What do I want to get to by the end of the week? I think here, here, and here. So we'll do this and this. I'll skip that. And we'll do that this year. Blah, blah, blah. And it just becomes like any job that you've done a number of times. You know, like, oh, I can move this over here because we can move that there. Right. Like a chef in the kitchen.
Right, you gain skill.
You gain skill. You know, oh, I don't have to put that rice on yet. I can do it later. Right.
Yeah.
So that just comes with experience and time.
Yeah.
But yeah, leading on other teachers is I did quite a bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you had like something that would take like 3 classes and is valuable, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I bet.
Yeah.
Gee. Ooh, this is a good question. What is the greatest issue that the teacher may face in the class?
In the class. Yeah. I'll focus on in the class. The greatest issue.
Mm-hmm. I guess to narrow it down, it's under the focus of working with all learners. So
Working with all learners. Yeah. Greatest issue. Working with all learners. Like greatest challenge kind of idea?
I guess.